Shakur Stevenson versus Artem Harutyunyan. His name isn't actually Harutyunyan. It's actually Harutyunyan, but I call him Artem Harutyunyan. I don't know why it comes out like that for me. I just think it sounds better than his. I think the man's name sounds better the way I say it than it actually is. Ignoramus. His name is Artem Harutyunyan, but I call him Artem Harutyunyan. German fighter, 12-1, so he's had 13 fights. Him and Shakur turned pro the same year. Shakur started his pro career April 2017. Artem started his career November 2017. And since then, Shakur's had 21 fights, and this Artem young man has had 13 fights. Now, Shakur got signed straight away by Top Rank, so he had the promotional juggernaut to be able to put on contests for him and actually focus on him, which allowed him to become a 3-weight champion. He's been a WBO champion at featherweight, then he went up and won the WBO at super featherweight. We also unified with Oscar Valdez, who had the WBC super featherweight title, to become a unified super featherweight champion, then moved up again to lightweight, had the necessary lightweight fight to ensure that he could be #1 contender. But when Devin Haney, who was undisputed at the time, moved up and vacated the title, he then fought Edwin De Los Santos in a very lackluster fight where he won the WBC vacant lightweight title. Now, he's been getting criticism about that fight. Criticized left, right, and center about how boring he was in that fight. Shakur Stevenson is a pure boxer. He is what you call a pugilist specialist. He likes to dodge raindrops. He's not a runner by any means at all. He's a guy that will take 1 step back, 2 steps back. 1 step back, I don't even think he will take 2 steps back. He takes 1 step back and he will pivot, bob and weave and make you miss from close range while he's right there in front of you. And then he will counter in kind. Sometimes he puts a little pressure on and steps forward, and when he does so, he does it against opponents that fit his style. For instance, Oscar Valdez is very much a boxer, puncher, pressure fighter type. Now, pressure fighters usually dishevel pure boxers, but that's because pure boxers don't like to have a lot of output. So if you make them work harder than they want to work, they get kind of uncomfortable. Shakur Stevenson doesn't seem to be that type. He seems to invite the pressure and likes the output more. Even though he fights as a pure boxer, which is very economic with the output, he still, if needed, he will have a high output and he will walk forward as well. And he has very good shot selection. His mentor, he's got a few mentors. Well, he's got 2 in particular. Andre Ward is his first mentor, and then Terence Bud Crawford, who he seems to train with a lot, spars with a lot. Iron sharpens iron. And where Bud is up there as one of the best boxers on the planet at this moment, to have him as a training partner and a sparring partner, only good things can rub off on you. And for him to say, yeah, he's welcoming you into his camp as a boxer, he wouldn't do that if he didn't rate you to a certain extent. So he obviously rates Shakur. He said on many occasions that he believes Shakur will be the next #1 pound-for-pound boxer. We'll see, time will tell where that's concerned. But at this moment in time, he's coming off a very so-called lackluster performance against Edwin De Los Santos. And his claim was that he had a injured shoulder. Now, I'm not sure if he had surgery on the shoulder since then, but it's been about 8-9 months since he had that fight with Edwin De Los Santos. Apparently, he's had time to heal his shoulder and now he's back and he's promising a very exciting performance. This is his last fight on the contract with Top Rank, so I don't know if he's going out there to try and impress Top Rank because he seems to have some sort of rift with Bob Arum, but that's not something I'm trying to get into right now. We're just talking about this fight. How did Artem Harutyunyan, or should I say Harutyunyan, get into the position to have this fight? Even though his last fight, he's coming off of a loss against Frank Martin, who, for me, is like a warm-up for Shakur Stevenson, because like Shakur Stevenson, he is a southpaw, which means that his right hand is his jab hand and his left hand is his power shots. And like Shakur, he is also a pure boxer type. But his level of pure boxer, pugilist specialist type boxing is nowhere near the level of Shakur. Once you choose your base style, the base styles for me are pure boxer, which is the pugilist specialist, which is the very economical boxer who doesn't like to throw a lot and leads with the jab, can win the fight on just the jab and throw no other punch but the jab, and therefore not allowing you to touch them at all, which can be very, very lackluster and look very boring to the eyes. Now, me personally, as a boxing fan, I love every style. So I can sit down and watch those fights, no problem. But I hear a lot of people complain about the pure boxer, and I understand the complaints because aesthetically, it's not very pleasing to the eye. You're not watching boxing to see people either dancing in the ring or doing laps in the ring. You're not watching boxing for that. You're watching boxing to see two people beat each other to a pulp, and hopefully one of them gets knocked out. And, that's, hey, Ray, yeah, go on, son, knock him out. That's what the casuals want to see. You're not going to get that from Shakur every time. As a pure boxer, you need the style to make your style look good. And for a pure boxer, the style that makes their style look good is usually a boxer puncher. A boxer puncher who toggles between being a pure boxer and a pressure fighter. It's more of a fact of they've got a good technique and they have higher output when they come forward. That is what a boxer puncher looks like. And a pure boxer can make that style, or that style can make a pure boxer look good, because as they're trying to come forward, the pure boxer is just beating them off with the jab and the occasional backhand, which then looks better because the pure boxer is pushing the action. Whereas a pressure fighter can make a pure boxer look all bad because it's constant pressure and it's disheveling for the pure boxer and makes them have to have a higher output than they want to usually. As I said, when there's levels to each style, some pure boxers can toggle between being a pure boxer and a puncher boxer, which Shakur Stevenson seems to be able to do. In his last fight, Edwin De Los Santos was more like a boxer puncher and he was very kind of economical as well. But the fact is, Shakur couldn't push the action because he had an injury. Apparently, his shoulder was injured. Okay, fast forward to now. Artem Harutyunyan lost to Frank Martin on points. For me personally, I was watching the fight. I thought that he was winning the fight. Personally, I thought that Artem Harutyunyan was winning the fight. And so did the commentary. They thought that he was winning the fight. The unofficial scorecard after 11 rounds had Frank Martin needing a knockout, but the actual scorecards at the end of the fight gave Martin the victory, whatnot. But that means for me that Harutyunyan, he's not coming off a fight where he got beaten up badly. He's coming off of a fight where he felt hard done by. And that fight for Artem Harutyunyan, he's been out for a whole year come to this fight. It will be actually a whole full year since he fought. So, with that being said, I can't see Artem Harutyunyan beating Shakur Stevenson. I can't see it personally because he didn't do great against Frank Martin. He done well. I thought he won the fight, but he didn't do enough to be convincingly the winner. And at some points, he was losing footing. He seemed a bit unstable, off balance and such like that. He's an orthodox fighter, so Shakur Stevenson against Artem Harutyunyan will be a southpaw versus an orthodox. For some reason, southpaws seem to have some sort of advantage over orthodox. I don't understand why, because their advantage is the same as the orthodox advantage, but they just seem to exploit it more, which is having front foot dominance, having your front foot on the outside of your opponent's front foot, and also having the ability to throw that straight backhand down the middle as the lead punch, which can be called the southpaw killer, which is the straight right hand, or the orthodox killer, which is the straight left hand. These are shots that can work in the advantage of the opponent who has the opposing stance. So I don't understand how it works better for southpaws than it does for orthodox, but historically, southpaws seem to have an advantage over orthodox fighters. So my prediction is that Shakur Stevenson is going to win this fight, and he needs to look good doing it. So my prediction is going to put in a good performance. I'm going to go for a stoppage. I'm going to go for him to stop Artem Harutyunyan. He hasn't stopped many boxers. 21 fights. He has a knockout ratio of about 47%. Not even 50% knockout ratio. But I believe he's going to put the pressure on and he's going to stop Harutyunyan later on. I mean, I don't see anything other than a Shakur Stevenson win. So we're looking forward to this fight. I'm looking forward to this fight. We'll talk about it after the fight. There's also Shakur Foster against Robson Conceição, who Shakur Stevenson beat when he was down there at super featherweight. Shakur Foster is the current super featherweight champion, WBC champion. So that's a title defense. And we also have Keyshawn Davis, 10-0 Keyshawn Davis against 31-2 Miguel Madueno. Now, I don't know nothing about Miguel Madueno other than the fact that he lost to Steve Claggett. I don't know how you lose it to Steve Claggett. I don't know nothing about Steve Claggett. But he lost to Steve Claggett. The only thing I know about Steve Claggett is that he just made Teofimo Lopez look kind of ordinary in a fight that Teofimo Lopez just won. And he also lost to Jezreel Corrales. And I wouldn't know anything about Jezreel Corrales if he himself didn't lose to my Donny Chris Colbert in 2020. So I don't really know much. I don't really know anything about this Miguel Madueno guy. But we will see. Time will tell. So that's the end of this video. We'll see how it happens and we'll talk about it after the fight and break stuff down. That's my prediction. And I'll see you in the next video.